All right. Welcome to Pangea's very first speaker series. We are introducing our two interns, and we have our guest, Grace Francisco, our Chief Marketing Officer, with us. Grace, we've been waiting for this. This is an amazing moment. I know our interns are very excited to learn about you. So before we start, though, let me introduce our interns. So we have Ruchika Mudinagiri, who is our engineering intern, currently at the University of Maryland. We have Romana Basileja, who is studying at the University of Washington and is our marketing intern for the summer. So thank you. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'd like to kick this off with the one question that we all want to know about, and that's really about how did you become the Chief Marketing Officer for Pangea, this amazing security company that's turning the market on its head?
Oh, well, that's a bit of a long, meandering story. So let me try to put it into a TLDR version
Yes.
of how I got here. And actually, I'm really happy that you two are representing both engineering and marketing because I'm not a traditional CMO. My background is in engineering and a blend of marketing and developer relations. That's really what that is. Developer relations is developer marketing. It's a very technical discipline that incorporates marketing components. And so this is actually
Yeah.
great.
It is.
But then with regard to both of your disciplines. And I love what I've been doing. I've been doing this for 20 years. And to take on the role of CMO, I had been working at, back-to-back unicorn companies, MongoDB, Roblox, Atlassian. I was at Cisco for a little bit. And I had just seen this article. It was a Decibel as a venture, a VC, do an article on Oliver, our CEO. And I had been covering this topic about APIs and secure code and securing the code behind the APIs. And I thought, wow, this is a big gap. I was one talk about API first and what does that mean and what's the discipline and craft around that all engineering teams need to think about. So many groups are now publishing APIs for their companies. And yet there wasn't a whole lot in making sure that developers understood and could quickly make their code secure. And then I saw this article about Oliver talking about what Pangea does, and I went, yeah, exactly that. That's exactly the thing that we need in the world right now. And I did reach out to him on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is very busy for a lot of people, especially someone high profile like Oliver. He probably gets 1 million LinkedIn outreaches all the time. So I didn't hear from him, which did surprise me. He's a popular guy. And at some point, like about a month later, the former CMO of Atlassian I've kept in touch with all these years, Carrie Liu, reached out to me and said, hey, would you mind, talking to the startup that I've been talking to? I think we need to talk to someone technical like you. I've been talking to him. I think they need to talk to someone technical like you. And I said, sure, of course. Guess who that was? It was Oliver.
That's fantastic.
And I hop on the call and I'm laughing because I can see that he finally accepts my LinkedIn invitation. He's like, oh my God, embarrassed. I don't check my LinkedIn that much. Right, no worries. I totally get it. And so we got to talking. And I was just so excited to be talking to the founder behind the solution where I'd been advocating, like, we need to solve this problem. And he was solving the problem. And so I was just so excited to be talking to him and talking about like my thoughts and ideas and opinions around this, and was aligning to how he was really trying to solve this whole beast of cybersecurity for developers. How do we get developers to not necessarily spend years becoming security professionals. That's a craft and discipline in of itself. But how do we give them the tools and solutions to make their applications secure today, not wait for everyone to get to be experts? There's a sub-segment of technologists who are really good at cybersecurity, and that is not the 24 million plus developers that are out in the world today. And so I thought this was just such the right thing at the right time. We really need this at this point in time. And so
It's exciting.
I said, so are you hiring not a traditional CMO, maybe a technical CMO? And he said, well, if you were open to the conversation. I said, yes.
That's great.
That's how I landed here in this role.
Well, we're glad to have you. And I will tell you that Oliver does check his in-mails. I've seen him pass people along saying, hey, can you help me reach out? And so he eventually does. But yes. I do have another question. Tell us about a mistake that you may have made early in your career, and how did you recover from that? Or,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, I had this long running mistake in the early part of my career, and that was that I was way too focused on perfection and making everything perfect. And it took me a while to really recognize that that actually holds you back in your career. If you're obsessed with being perfect, that ends up taking shape in terms of not asking questions, right? You need to be able to ask questions to get clarity, to learn, to ensure that you're going down the right track. And I spent so much time on my own, like beating my head, trying to figure things out because I wanted to be perceived as perfect and always, doing things the right way. And the reality is, especially early on in your career, you're learning and you're going to make mistakes. That is part of the learning process. It was that sort of thinking that held me back, that I had to appear perfect, do everything perfectly. When in reality, my learning and my maturity in my career would have accelerated if I had been brave enough to just ask the question. And yes, sometimes there are going to be not so nice people who might treat you a certain way if you ask the question, but you just need to put that aside and just keep going because there are plenty of other people who are super helpful and want to make sure that you're getting to the right place in your career, supporting you in your career. And there are enough people like that that the one or two people that you will encounter from time to time who may not be so helpful, I wouldn't worry about. I should have not worried about that.
That's fantastic. That's great. Thank you. I'd like to actually give the interns an opportunity to ask you a question.
Here we go.
I'd love to ask Romana if you can start it out. You can share your question with Grace. That'd be great.
So my question is, how have you gone about making difficult decisions in your career? And if you have like a specific example you want to share, that'd be great.
Difficult decisions in my career. There's a whole spectrum of difficulty in your career. Difficulty in like making a specific decision on a project. There are difficulties in the way that you navigate your career. And I think one of the things, I think mine wasn't like at one point in time, it was thematically for me as I went into leadership, the early days of becoming a manager for me, I didn't have enough support or coaching or training. And so back to the perfectionism issue, I probably should have been asking, hey, what kind of training can I go and get? What kind of support and coaching should I go get? Where can I get that from? And I didn't have anyone really guiding me. I was kind of dropped off into the deep end of the ocean and made a leader without any like supporting framework. And I should have been brave enough to say, hey, look, I'm happy that you promoted me into this role or hired me for this role, but I'm still working on really embracing the full spectrum of what it means to be a leader. And I'm not quite sure where to start that process. Can you help me with that? Mm-hmm. And so I think that the thing that is key in anyone's career, no matter where you are early on or later on in your career, is knowing when to raise your hand and say, hey, I need help. I'm not sure which direction to take this, or not sure what I need to learn next to solve these kinds of problems or solve these kinds of issues. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really important. And it goes back to the willingness to say, hey, I'm still learning. No one's perfect. And I know I have these skill sets that I'm really strong at, but these are things that I'm still working on. What are some approaches that I should be thinking about?
Thank you. Ruchika, please.
Yes. So my question is, what is the most important advice you could give to women in tech?
Most important advice? Yes. Oh, most important advice. One is to always remember who you are and don't allow others to tell you what your limits are. You know your limits, and to embrace the opportunity. Sometimes being a woman in tech can be a little scary because and to be honest, I've often been the one woman in the engineering team or the one leader who is a woman in a tech company. And that can be daunting for some people. But I always encourage, women like you who are early on in their careers to embrace that opportunity because you are bringing a differentiated point of view into the room that will give that company strength by the sheer fact that you are in fact different. It's a superpower, right? Because you're bringing different perspective. When I talk about cybersecurity, the percentages of women are even lower than in software development as a whole. Some numbers show it's like 10% versus the 18% we have for software development as a whole. And that can sound scary, right? You're going to be the only woman in cybersecurity. Now, those numbers have gotten better, and I see more and more CISOs who are women, which is great. And I'm seeing that number go up. But, you know, in the day-to-day, as you enter your career, depending what company you end up in, it can feel like a lonely journey. So what I would say is find your tribe. You're going to find other women in your kinds of roles, maybe not in your company specifically, but go find them wherever they might be and have those active conversations with them so that you have that shared experience and the ability to, you know, have a safe sounding board when you're maybe struggling with something or trying to articulate maybe communication issues, navigation issues within your company. Finding that tribe that can support you in that point in time is so much better than just going at it alone, right? We all need to support each other. And the good news is these days versus when I was in your career track, there are lots of opportunities, lots of organizations, lots of online communities that you can go to where you will get this support really quickly.
It's great.
Thank you for the advice.
Yeah. Just want to thank you for the work you've done in the women, just working with women in tech, so forth. So thank you for the words of wisdom here. What is the best age?
The best age?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. When I was 5, I loved grade 5 and learning and just
Fantastic. I think it's a great
that's
a great
just
answer.
being out in the world and
Always be a kid,
cartoons.
right? Being a kid in life.
Saturday
It's
morning
good.
cartoons. So, I miss those days.
Fantastic. All right. I will move on to the next one. So, what was the last song you downloaded?
Can I check my phone?
This rapid fire is not working very well. Okay, here's one for you. Okay, Ruchika. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
Yes.
Dusk or dawn?
Ooh. Is dusk sunrise? No, or dusk is sunset. I like sunrise, so dawn.
There you go. Fantastic.
It's unique.
Yes. All right. Well, guys, thank you very much, all of you, for being here. And this is a great interview. Thank you. And again, thank you so much for joining our speaker series. Please check out more about Pangea at pangea.cloud. Have a good day. Oh my God.
Now I have to answer your question.
I am like, it was funny. Clearly I chose these questions last night after our happy hour. I was like, what are fun rapid fire? And I just chose these. Oh my God.
I have Apple Music.
Was it good? I mean, at least was it? I hope it was. Yeah. We'll see what the outcome is.